Fish unless there's at least 4 inches of ice, and that's with the safety.
You gotta love it. The eyeballs can blink. Oh, wow. That's the biggest one yet. Big jumbo perch. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is the Bro Roadshow Live, the Ice Experience, and I want to tell everybody I hope you had a great Christmas, and we're going to be talking about ice tonight, products and tips and tricks. And the Bro Roadshow was an ice tour that spanned the ice belt, and it went for decades, and now we decided to go live. On tonight's show, we have Nick Cox from RAZR, Sam, my co-host, Sam Larsen, and we also have a special guest, Bassmaster Elite champion, Jeff Gustafson, and he's going to be here the whole show. Tim Mossberg, the owner of Fish Monkey, will be here, and he's got the gloves that span the globe for open water and ice. So without further ado, let me bring in Sam Larsen and Jeff Gustafson at the same time here. How you guys doing? Good to see you.
What's going on, boys?
Yeah. Hey, Gussy, Bassmaster Elite champion. That's just such a huge title, and quite possibly the most famous Canadian there is right now. And not only that, you're famous on this side too. So, what do you think of that? What a big bump up in the world, huh?
Well, I don't know about that, but there's a lot of hockey fans up here that would probably argue with you that.
No, I know. Well, what a thing! I watched your win. It was amazing, and what a cool thing to happen. And it's someone we know. You know, it's really cool, and that had to be really, really a big deal.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a tough tournament, and I ended up finding a really, really sweet spot, a big school of smallmouths down south in Tennessee. I had like 6 jigs, a couple bags of baits, a couple spinning rods. I mean, I wasn't going there expecting to fish the way that I did. And but yeah, I mean, I'm going on. This will be my 10th year fishing like pro bass tournaments coming up. So finally, it's a lot harder than it looks. I mean, you watch like Jacob Wheeler makes it look easy to win those things, but it's really not. And you know, so that you know, I was glad to be able to do it just for a lot of my friends and fans and people that have supported me.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you coming on. And Sam, we just want to give a real quick ice report. What's going on there? It's really changing super fast in the Bemidji area. Sam is virtual marketing, and he's a lure designer, but he's also a sketch artist, and he wears a big hat at Northland Fishing Tackle. What's going on in Bemidji?
Yeah, bro. So Bemidji ice conditions are improving a little bit. You know, getting some larger equipment out there to do it. But we did just get hammered with a snowstorm, which is making travel a little tougher. I'm expecting that we'll see some slush. And then also it'll be insulating that existing ice we have. So unfortunately, we had a tragic accident on Christmas Eve. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of that on Lake Bemidji. But that just goes to show you it is absolutely important to know your ice conditions, be checking, don't just follow tracks, know it yourself. So
yeah, and have some ice picks with and Gussy, when you're in your area, which is you got huge bodies of water, and Gussy is a hardcore ice fisherman. Not only does he win the Bassmaster Elite Championships, he's hardcore ice. And how do you figure out what's what when you're going on the ice, when you're heading to your spots?
I mean, so we get real winter up here, and I mean, you guys do too, but we're like, you know, typically 8 or 10 degrees colder every day. So like they're driving trucks around up here now, and I think it's pretty good. And you know, on Lake of the Woods where I fish the most, water's been low for a couple of years. It's low, brutal low, and there's not very much current. I mean, normally the lake's got a massive current to it, so ice conditions are pretty good now. But you know, I was moose hunting a couple hours farther north a few weeks ago, and we were accessing some of the places we hunted by via the ice. And there was a lot of checking going on. You know, we were ripping around on snowmobiles, but yeah, I mean, I know you said 4 inches. I mean, we've all probably been on less than that here or there, but that's kind of the, you know, to not put your friends or people that might have to come and save you at risk. You know, that's kind of the same boundary for me. I would say, you know, you want to see that at least.
Absolutely. And Gussy, you know RAZR Augers, and you've actually used a RAZR Auger. Well, we have Nick Cox from RAZR Auger on hand here. So come on, Nick.
Hey,
welcome to the show too.
Bro, Sam, Gussy, thanks for having me.
Nick's always a friend of the show, and he keeps things going. But RAZR Augers has been a fantastic auger, and they're generous. He's got an announcement for the show tonight here.
Yes, as it seems to be the norm, we're going to give away a 4-inch RAZR Scout tonight, along with an original RAZR Ice Augers bait puck, perfect for those wax worms, minnow heads, whatever you want to put in there. And we're going to give away the RAZR hat right here next to me.
Oh, fantastic!
Yes,
what a great start, and a great tool for searching the ice depth. I think it's fantastic. And Gussy, you've had a chance to use that RAZR Auger. What do you think?
Yeah, I got the 40 volt right here, and I've been using it the last. I've been out like 5 or 6 times, and yeah, I've been using it every time. I've charged it twice. Not first time on the electric train. I bought a new one a couple years ago, and my friend Brian Gustafson at Lake of the Woods Sports up here, he said you should get an electric auger, and I was like, nah. You know, I just old school. I like to drill lots of holes. I do some guiding. I don't want to, I don't want to be, only be able to drill like 10 holes in a day or anything. And a week or two after that, James Linder came up on the trout opener with his son and a couple friends, and they brought an electric auger, and I tried it, and I'm like, oh, this is way better than pulling and not starting and dripping gas on everything. And yeah, so I finally got one, and I love it. I mean, it's so easy to use. My wife never really ice fished before, and she never drilled a hole before. She drilled a hole with this thing the other day. I mean, anybody can use it.
That's awesome. What do you think, Nick? There's black and orange in Ontario right now.
And
so,
lots of people are bugging me about it. Where can we get them? So I know they're coming, and it's going to be good up here, I think.
And I want to congratulate the winner from last week before I forget here. Last week's winner was Lori Duenhoger, and I appreciate you tuning in, and congratulations on your win and that prize pack. I hope you enjoy it. And Sam, how can viewers win tonight?
Yep. So along with the RAZR Auger, we're doing another Northland prize pack. It's got the bro mug, the giant glow shot spoon, and some awesome Northland stuff there. So make sure to like, comment your questions, and share the show, and that will get you entered, and we'll pick a winner at the end of the show.
And then you can win a mug like this with it, and but you don't get what's inside it. But so it's good to have everybody here. So
what do you guys have in your mugs right now?
I just got pop in there right now. It might change later, but definitely it keeps the pop cold and keeps the coffee warm. But going into the electric auger thing now, Gussy, the other day I was out fishing, and we were on Red Lake, which is really busy. And we heard a power auger go off, and everybody turned and looked like it was a dinosaur sighting or something. And you just don't hear power augers down here anymore. You don't hear people drilling.
No, it's hard to believe. Nick's the guy here we can ask, fire the questions off to. But what's the record for most holes drilled in a day?
Well, I mean, like what we've got it tested out to on the auger behind you, which is that 40 volt lithium RAZR 7 amp hour battery, which is the highest capacity out there. That will do 1,785 inches of ice. That might be a little conservative, but for most people, 100 holes and 17, 18 inches of ice is more than enough. So
got a little light on the bottom too.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know we do have some presence in Ontario right now, and ever since we started working with Gussy, and I mean honestly, I look through my email and I've got more Canadians coming to me like, hey, where can I get this? And so this season it's tough because we're kind of in the middle of it, but our distributors in Ontario, they have quite a few stores. They are stocked up. Next year, RAZR in Canada will be in multiple locations. So thanks to Gussy here and his advocacy. So I'm glad the Augers working out for you.
I just like to use it, man. I'm out there, and I'll if I can break it, I probably will. So it's passed the test, and no, I've been really happy, and it's been fun to use for sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's one photo here I want to throw up, or not throw up, but we're going to show a photo. So Kai, of Heather and I had a little Christmas thing, and she made me wear the antlers again. And so there's a buck and a doe sighting in my garage, but we had a chance to get out over Christmas. And Sam, you've got a crappie photo here I wanted to throw there. So yes, we do ice fish. We don't just talk about it. So we're out. Look at that slab. And I just wanted to put those on before we put some Gussy photos because he's got the monsters. Check out this trout here. Oh, not there. Almost.
Were you guys hoping those walleyes were bass? It looked like you were kind
of. Yeah, we were. There, look at this.
Nice.
Though I do like the trophy. Go back to the trophy. That had to be just an unbelievable experience to have that happen.
Yeah, that was the highlight of my year for sure. It's been a lot of tournaments fished, and that's that's as good as it gets for a trophy in bass fishing right there.
Yeah, that's super cool. And so Nick, what's going on at RAZR? Anything new? Any specials?
Well, we're kind of past that prime holiday time, so we're going into the new year. Our dealers are all stocked up. Definitely encourage you to go to the dealers first. Some of the items we are out of stock on, but you're encouraged to check our website and check our inventory if there's a product that you're looking for. But right now we are doing this is kind of secret, but we'll bust the news out. We're doing a 10% off, free shipping for orders $49 or greater, and then for anything less than $49, $5 flat rate shipping. Just use the code RAZRFAM at checkout, RAZRFAM at checkout. You'll get your discount, your free shipping, and hopefully we'll get you on the ice with one of these bad boys this year.
That's super cool. And Gussy, are you guys getting hit by snow up there right now?
Yeah, I'm kind of grumpy because I got up at like 6 this morning. We got a good dump yesterday at 5 inches probably. And I plowed this morning. We live out in the country. I got a little quad, so it's not the best. It gets the job done. It's about a 2-hour job though. And we've got another like 2.5, 3 inches today. Like not enough where I can just leave it. I gotta, or Shelby will be all over me. So
we got hammered here. We just got completely nailed.
And again, and then it's supposed to be like minus 30 for the next week straight. So I gotta get it plowed before it really gets super cold and everything freezes.
Well, hopefully it doesn't sink the ice. Here we've Sam, how much snow have you gotten yesterday and today in Bemidji?
I've bet between yesterday and today we're sitting at 10 to 12 inches so far. I was kind of looking at where it was stacked up. Same as Gussy. Yesterday I got out and plowed, fairly early, and it just kept coming and coming and coming, and it wasn't too bad. But now today's hit us really hard, and I got a real big mess out there. So I think it finally stopped, and I got to go take care of that myself. But yeah, it's going to be there's a lot of snow out in there in the ice, so hopefully it doesn't cause us too many issues with getting around and whatnot.
Well, and Nick, did you got mostly rain in the Twin Cities area, haven't you?
Well, it was like a sleety mix, but we put more snow on the ground than we did water, so which I'm thankful for right now. But we're going into the deep freeze, and hopefully it'll solid up. But it's just Mother Nature. You're never going to predict what she wants to do, right?
Exactly. That's why we get auger extensions. But Nick, I'm glad you came out. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Up next, and Gussy, stick around. But up next, Tim Mossberg, owner of Fish Monkey Gloves. He is on deck, and here he comes. How you doing, Tim?
Bro, hey buddy, Merry Christmas.
The legendary Tim Mossberg, and Fish Monkey was established in 2016. Am I right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and since then has taken the world by storm with summer guide protection for hands and face and stubby guide gloves, all these things that I love, and they're really popular here. But they weren't really a thing up here, and now they're just huge in Minnesota and Canada, and now you've taken the ice by storm. I'm seeing Fish Monkey Yeti gloves. I'm seeing the Stealth Dry Tech and blockers, everything, and woolies on the ice all over the place. So what an amazing thing. And I got to say you're tenacious because your designs are the best out there. And I want you just to give us a little idea of what gets you to make stuff like that. How are you driven?
Well, I was driven on the ice side by this great guy by the name of Bro. And so you and I started working together years ago, and you said, hey, what do you think about making an ice glove? And I said, I don't know much about ice fishing, but love fishing, do a lot of fishing myself. So let's discuss it. And so I guess a year went into planning and prototyping and ideas. And from that came the Yeti series of gloves, which has just been a rock star for us. But it's really all you're doing, bro. It's you gave me the inspiration and the ideas and took me out on the ice and showed me what you guys go through and what you need, and then we built it from there. So
and we got some pictures. Remember that trip on Red Lake?
Yeah, I mean, and it was sad. So I think you said it was 1 degree, and I could have swore it was minus 1,000 coming from Florida. So you said, no, this is really not bad. This is actually a warm day for us. So
it is, and you can see the walleyes fins, they freeze instantly. I think it was actually maybe even a little bit colder than that, but that was a good experience to bring you in from Florida to that, and it was just awesome that you could be there. And but in all these years, I mean, we've had Yeti now for a couple of years, and it's just been the glove in this area. But I gotta say, Stealth Dry Tech is becoming, it's not up there as far as Yeti, but it is becoming a huge category for me for baiting in the cold, live bait fishing. And I just shot a show with Humminbird in it, and it was below zero, and I couldn't move my fingers, but the Stealth Dry Tech helped me get the show going. And it's thin, but it's warm, and it's completely waterproof. And so where did that design came out of the Bassmaster? You were going to design something because it does get cold in the South.
Right. Well, what we were looking for, the problem that we were trying to solve was with the bass guys. Anytime they put on foul weather gear, I didn't find, and certainly our pros that we work with didn't have a glove, their go-to glove that would keep them as warm and dry as their foul weather gear was. But yet, obviously, you need something with great dexterity that's thin. Still wanted it to be waterproof, but a little bit of insulation. But you needed to have great dexterity so you could cast and manage your tackle and feel the bite. And so the Stealth was born from that, from really slimming things up, making the fingers more nimble, adding dexterity, adding a complete waterproof glove. So again, your hands not getting soaking wet and cold. Because obviously in the bass tournament world, these guys don't quit just because it rains. They stay at it. So
and you remember at the show I introduced Sam to you, and Sam, you use Fish Monkey. And which gloves did you like, Sam?
Yeah, well, there's a couple. So I am guilty of getting on a good ice bite, and I love taking my gloves off and fishing barehanded. But it gets cold. So there's 2 gloves that I really like that helped with that. The Stealth, because of the nimbleness or whatnot, that it almost feels like you're not wearing gloves. You can still unhook fish, bait your hook. And then also I really like the woolly half fingers for that as well.
Yeah.
Out taking photos on the ice, taking videos, you get that little bit of dexterity in your fingertips, but it keeps that harsh bite off the rest of your hand. So
Sure.
those are my 2 favorites in the Fish Monkey line.
Lightweight is very important, but how do you make lightweight and warm at the same time? And I think these are the best gloves. I mean, I've tried everything, and I still go back and forth to Stealth Dry Tech because, like, it was snowing, wet, heavy snow, and I'm out on the lake all day, dark till dark, and I like the Stealth Dry Tech when I'm dealing with fish and handling them. And if you touch fish enough, and then you're in below zero, your fingers crack, and my fingers look like a horror movie by the middle of winter. But not anymore. They're soft and they're non-cracked because of Fish Monkey. But I got to say, and this has probably been said before, but you're in a warmer climate, but you've designed the best ice glove there is out there, which is really cool.
Well, thank you again. It's all the help that you guys gave us and sticking with us and testing the product and giving us honest feedback. It's not just it's working great, but that good criticism so that we could go back and continue to tweak, which we continue to do today. Excuse me. Almost every product that we have in the lineup, which we have 23 different glove styles now that cover ice to summer to salt water, etc. But every piece we're constantly tweaking to improve the performance, so it gives our anglers and our customers, the best product they can possibly get from a glove standpoint.
Absolutely. And then Hunt Monkey is the hunting side of gloves, and there we might need some camo. You got to be able to conceal yourself and stay warm, and bow hunters and all that. Those gloves rock too. I mean, we're in the fishing side. I fish all the time, and I might put on the rod a little bit to hunt, but the Hunt Monkey is really taken on huge, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. So we launched that this fall, and it just exploded for us. So phenomenal feedback, both from our dealer market and our consumers. So a lot of support, obviously, from our existing customer base, both on the dealer or retail side and the consumer side. Feedback's been great. We launched with 14 different styles. Again, really taking a lot of the information that we learned from the ice fishing market, using the thermoconductive liners, using the waterproof membranes, but more importantly, treating the interior and the exterior side, basically taking the outside fabric, treating it on both sides so it won't absorb water. So now you're not only your hands dry, but your gloves not soaking up a lot of extra water that now freezes, etc. So, and then still focusing on the ability to use your weapon or use your rod and reel to cast and pull the trigger. So we skinnied up our fingers, etc. So it's really turned out to be a great line, but so much of it was developed on the back of what we've done, Bro, because of your help in the ice fishing market.
Well, and here, we're getting some comments. People are asking online, and then some of the viewers already answered where to look for Fish Monkey gloves. So there is a following for Fish Monkey, but someone just talked about he used a glove to tackle a 400-pound tuna. So, the sun doesn't seem to set on Fish Monkey. It's everywhere now, which is really cool.
No, we're extremely excited and blessed with the market and how it's treated us and how well the products turned out with all of our staff and our sales force, our pro staff, our marketing team. We've just got a great group of people that work with us and have really helped and pushed this thing out.
And the thing is, when you get these Yetis, they're leather palms, and they're so thick you actually break them in they're really solid and they last. And the thermal conductive inside, that was a really cool thing. When you told me about that I knew that nothing else was going to compare to these. And so, if you're on a fringe of ice where you just get ice for a couple weeks or something, then there's so many other things to try. The Stealth Dry Tech, even the blockers are nice for going around out on the ice. And then, of course, Sam's favorite, and I understand why, cameras and running things and tying lines. Those are just great lineups. And so there's so much to go on. As far as Fish Monkey goes, is there anything new coming up on the roster? I'm sure there is, but you might not be able to make any announcements yet.
Yeah, so for 22, we've kind of stuck with our baseline, both for our summer line and our winter line. Just adding a few colors for the summer styles. With the winter line, we added a new kind of price point. Let's call it the winter gripper, which is kind of your grippy kind of glove with the latex outer sand finish that's waterproof. So we launched that for this winter, which has gone over very well. And for 22 is going to be more of the same, but just continuing to perfect the product and really continuing to get the messaging out there. You know, we've added so many dealers. We're up to about 1,600 dealers now, and I think we're in about 16 or 17 countries. So it's really taking what we've developed and continuing to perfect it, but also help our dealers spread the word to their customer base and get the word out there. We've added more pros, you know, both on the saltwater and the freshwater side, and obviously with the hunt, with the launch of Hunt Monkey, we're adding a whole new set of pros and have done on that as well. So it's, you know, it's a bit of product and marketing and develop and a lot of testing. You know, I'm up in Georgia with our family-in-law, and so we were able to get out on the water. I think yesterday and do some bass fishing. Now it's 65 and 70, so we don't have any hard ice here or anything. But it's, you know,
that's too warm.
You know, always out there testing the product and using it. So it's, you know, it's a lot of fun. It's a great industry to be involved in.
That's fantastic. And you know, we really are in the heart of winter right now. We're developing and making ice, and for every aspect of it, there's a Fish Monkey glove. So you've really taken the area by storm. But as far as retailers around here in Bemidji, there's Northwoods Bait and Tackle and Timberline Sports and Black Duck, and just a whole bunch of different stores around that have them. If there's a sporting goods and it's a detailed one, they'll have Fish Monkey gloves.
Sure.
But
And you can also find all of our dealers on our websites. We have a retailer locator, so you can just type in your zip code and it'll pop it up. But yeah, I'm shocked at how well that ice market has done for us, and I don't mind sharing it with you. It's our second largest market now.
wow.
So you got bass fishing is number one, and again, I come from the saltwater market, so that was kind of the idea. Oh, we're a saltwater brand, but man, the bass market exploded on us, and we continue to develop styles and product for that. And then obviously with the working with you and a few other guys in the ice category, that thing's exploded for us. So we've got tremendous support from that northern market, which is just, you know, it's a blessing to have that from you guys.
Well, I appreciate you coming out tonight, Tim, and thank you for coming out. And what a great line! And we can't wait to show more people Fish Monkey, Hunt Monkey, and I hope you have a great holiday and a New Year's. And there is a bass guy online waiting here. He's a legendary one in our neck of the woods, Jeff Gustafson, and we're going to delve into some secrets with him. But I appreciate you coming out tonight.
Bro, I certainly appreciate it. Sam, good seeing you again.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you guys.
You too.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's get Gussy on. And Gussy, good to see you again. And maybe we need to get some monkeys up there, but I wasn't sure if you could do those.
Well, I'm very lucky because Sims is a really good supporter for me, and you know, they make some good gloves too. But I have several of my friends have the Fish Monkeys, and I know Sam's been up here fishing with me. I've seen them before, and you know, yeah, I know they're sweet gloves.
Well, and I was gonna, you know, as far as the Bassmaster Elite win, you know, just couldn't wait to get in this moping technique.
Yeah,
it's very similar to ice fishing, isn't it? Wouldn't you say?
Well, you know, in general, if I'm like when I'm fishing these pro tournaments and down south, like if I can, it's getting harder now because like the electronics are so good, everybody can do it. But like when I started, if there was an event where I could fish offshore, use my electronics, you know, almost like I'm walleye fishing, you know, that would usually be good for me. It would work out good. And I feel like I had a little bit of an advantage over people. And a lot of my, you know, confidence in electronics and stuff comes from just hours of using a flasher and staring at my screen. And, but yeah, as far as I've actually got some of my rods from from the open water, just sitting here on a rack still. But I mean, that's not the exact color, but you know, a Z-Man jerk shad, minnow imitator. That's a smeltonator jig, but I mean, the original one we all used was the Northland mimic minnow head. Like this started in the 2001 to 2003, like 20 years ago, just about. And
so ice fishing did help you. Do you think gave you a little bit of an advantage on those guys?
Gussie, why don't you describe the moping technique? Because you know a lot of ice fishermen on here might not know what that is.
And I mean, this is a bait. I'm gonna actually cut this off. This is a 7.3, you know, open water rod. I'm actually gonna cut this one off because it's nice on there, nice and straight. And I'll use this for lake trout next week. Bait that we use a lot in the winter for lake trout. But basically, this moping technique that we use, it's you know, a soft jerk shad style bait, and I was hanging that about 2 to 4 feet above the bottom and watching it on my sonar beneath my trolling motor, holding it almost dead still. You know, sometimes if a fish is coming up to it, you just lift it slowly, like try and keep it away from them, but you don't sit there and jig it or anything. You just hold it still. And it's so deadly. I mean, I've caught, and not only for smallmouths, I mean, walleyes, pike, and then obviously as a lake trout bait as well. But any fish that's eaten pelagic bait fish, smelt, ciscos, alewives, that sort of thing, it's a really good imitator for that. And these fish that I found when I actually won that tournament, the smallmouths at that Tennessee River had to be 18 inches to keep, and it was a really tough place to fish. I mean, I think I caught 3 bass in 2 days, like the first 2 days of practice, and then found this spot. Didn't really know how good it was until the tournament started, and it ended up being like, you know, the dream. I got so lucky, and it was the best spot on the lake. But
I don't know if you got lucky, Gussie, because I've been there firsthand at tournaments, and I've watched you win 4 of them up at Rainy Lake, and always come in, and you know, everybody's trying to figure out how to do what Gussie does. So you've created quite a legend there. That's all I have to say about that. But I'm sure ice fishing, because it's an ice show here right now, I'm sure ice fishing in some way probably help give you a little edge.
Back to the electronics, just like that's one of the biggest things that, like, I tell people, if your electronics are working properly and you learn to trust them, that's your best friend in the boat. And you know, most of the time, like in open water, if I'm walleye fishing, I'm doing a guide trip, or fishing for bass in deeper water, no one in my boat's putting a line in the water until I see fish on my Hummingbird. And that's just, I trust it. And that's a lot of that is from just hours of staring at a flasher and watching my bait and watch how fish react to it. And it certainly has served me well in open waters, you know, as well.
And I'm just dying to know, because, you know, forward viewing is huge in bass. I think it became bigger in bass before ice, and quietly it grew really big in ice here in the last 3 years. And you've used the Humminbird Mega Live. Yeah. What do you think about forward viewing? It's kind of a must, isn't it?
It would be. So I got it. I got lucky. I got a prototype version of it at the start of the season. So I had it this past season. And I mean, I would almost, and I've said this before, you know, in the last couple of months when people have asked me about it, I would almost rather, my wife loves watching The Bachelor, and I would almost rather sit at home and watch The Bachelor than go fishing if I didn't have it. It would be like going ice fishing without a flasher. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like I'd rather sit and talk to Sam. Like, if my flasher died, or I'd rather sit next to you or Sam and watch you guys use yours than actually fish. And that's a bad attitude, maybe. But I just mean, like, that's how deadly it is, and it's so fun to use. It changed the way I fished a little bit for sure this year. You know, the mapping is so good now, and people know how to use their electronics. So those really obvious spots, you know, on a lot of water bodies aren't as good anymore. So you got to find those little, you know, a boulder in the middle of nowhere, a little hard spot, or just something that holds fish that other people are maybe overlooking. And then instead of having to get on top of the spot and risk spooking the fish, I can, now you can pitch your Ned rig or your jerk shad or whatever, throw a crankbait over that sweet spot from a distance away, see if there's fish there or not, how they react to your bait. I mean, it's crazy.
Sam's had a chance to use my Mega Live, and I think he's hooked on it too.
I know. Like you said, Gussy, like I want one so bad, but a part of me is nervous to get one out in the boat because it might ruin fishing for me. If I can't see them, I'm not gonna, it's exactly like you said. If it's ice fishing without a Vexilar now, but it is absolutely amazing of what you can see, even the reaction you can see. Where do you find it most beneficial? Like, certain fishing scenarios, maybe species or styles, techniques in the boat. And then have you used it on the ice yet at all?
So I haven't used it on the ice yet. Some of my friends have them, and I've been out there and seen you're going to get your ass whipped if you don't have it, if you want to have a contest with anybody. But no, as far as from an ice fishing perspective, I mean, just the ability to, especially like for crappies and panfish that are getting out on flat, and you can shine it around and, okay, they're all that direction or that, 22 feet that way. In the boat, the biggest thing for me this year, like the biggest game-changing way that I fish maybe that I wasn't doing before is like these jerk shad kind of baits and Ned rigs a lot, crankbaits too. Instead of like getting on top of the sweet spot and maybe you're in 16 or 18 or 25 feet of water and dropping this bait down or a drop shot down, now I can stay off the spot a little bit and cast this bait to them, reel it over their heads, 4 or 5 feet above the bottom. And I think you catch more fish. The fish know, as more people like get on top of them and use your electronics and fish for them, they're just getting on top of them. You do start to spook them, and you notice that now, you can put your bait in front of them before they know you're there, and you're just going to catch more fish.
It's like gaming in a boat or on the ice. And Sam's you were talking about some games.
Speaking of video games, you are now in the Bassmaster video game. What's it like to be a video game character? What's the coolest part about being in a video game?
Well, I grew up, I never played a video game in my life. I mean, my friends all had them. We never had video games. And so, it's not really, if I play one, it's pathetic. I'm no good at it. But, I got asked if I wanted to be included in it. So I said, sure. And it's been kind of cool. I can't believe how many people, that I've gotten messages from, or they've sent me photos of their fishing it's me in the game or against me, have sent me messages and they're having fun with it. So, I mean, that's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Cool.
Well,
all right.
Go ahead, Sam.
Get into video game, I guess, for fishing. So, it's cool.
It's cool. All right, looping back to ice fishing. What is your favorite ice fishing lure?
Well, you've been up here many times fishing.
I know the question already. This is a setup.
You already know, and it's painful because a crew from Northland often comes up here and we'll get to try out and test new baits for the following year. So the guys always have cool new baits and spoons and different ice baits to try. And my problem, I just love to catch fish so much that if something's working, I don't really, I don't mess around too much. I just want to go make it happen, put them on the ice. But all time, a 1/4, a 3/8 ounce buckshot spoon is, for many people, probably best ice bait of all time. I mean, I've caught big trophy fish of every species on it, but thousands of walleyes. This year, I got a few of my rods rigged up here. The Coffin, the new buckshot Coffin spoon, it's been good. It's got the little rattle chamber, similar to a traditional buckshot. We got the little fin on there, like similar to a macho minnow. So just a little different look, a little bit sort of heavier, bigger profile spoon. And the last couple trips we've been out, I've been using the buckshot, and my wife's actually been using this. We got some pictures of her with perch and walleyes the other night. But yeah, it's been a good bait as far as some of the new stuff.
Another thing I want to talk about, and I hope I'm not blowing his secret, but I know when I was up there fishing with you and your dad joined us one time,
Yeah.
he uses a Whistler jig, and bro, he's been using the deep V jig. Why don't you guys, both you and bro, talk a little bit about using open water jigs for ice fishing and when they shine?
Well, I'll go about, off on the Whistler jig a little bit. I don't know when exactly JP came out with the Whistler jig or designed it, but that, just one of his, unique original designs.
It's very early on in the company, very early on. Not the first, but yeah, one of the staple jigs in Northland for sure.
I'm 39. Since I was a little kid, I mean, my dad was taking me fishing when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old. All he ever has used my entire life to catch walleyes is a Whistler jig with a minnow on it. And we actually went out last night. He came up. He lives in Sioux Narrows, sort of halfway between Kenora and the border on Lake of the Woods. But he came up with my brother, and we went out last night. And he's, using a Whistler jig. Yeah, that's all he's ever used. And I mean, he's beat my butt many times with it. I've caught tons and tons of fish with it. So, just something that they probably don't see very often. And even though it's been around forever, but yeah, I mean, there's no making it up. I mean, you've been up here when he comes out there, and it's pretty funny. And he uses a swivel, like he usually just doesn't tie the jig direct. Like, it kind of drives me nuts because I'm all about like doing everything right. Fluoro leader on there, put a swivel up above it if you want, which I don't think you really need it with those jigs anyway, but he puts a little snap swivel where he ties it on. He changes colors up every once in a while, but that's it for him.
That's it. It's just a great bait, and I've been using that since I was a kid also. But I find myself, I always have some Whistlers, but primarily the deep V's and then thumper heads under the ice, and they work great. There's a time in my area, the water is so clear, gin clear on Winnie, Cass, Leech, I mean, zebra mussels and whatever. And the fish are coming up and they're real spooky. If you can't get them to go on a spoon, a double hook shiner on a deep V and just tease them, usually they'll pound it. And I just gave up a secret there, didn't I? But anyway, but there's times they just won't hit anything else. They want that minnow slightly moving. And you can't, I mean, what do you have for live bait up there in your area? Or is it frozen?
You can get live chubs or frozen shiners. I mean, I just usually get frozen ones and I use a minnow head on a spoon. That's all I pretty much ice fish with, just because it's easy. But he gets live minnows and carries them around. And you guys have been up to Canada. We don't have all the fancy minnow options, and our fishing's pretty good. So you don't really, any meat you put down there, you're probably going to be fine. But he just uses, medium, regular sized chub, and that's it.
Well, and then Gussy, you and I talked many years ago, and perch weren't high on your list, but I have a picture of you with a monster perch here, and on some secret spot, and they're actually you're kind of fond of them now, aren't you?
Oh, it's crazy, yeah. Like growing up, no kidding. If you got caught, no one around here would get caught dead keeping a perch. I mean, they got fed to the birds, fed to the foxes, and I'm just being honest. I mean, that's just the 20, 30 years ago. Nobody kept them, and again, it's just there's a lot of walleyes. It's easy to catch walleyes. But anyway, I live on the northwest arm of Lake of the Woods. In the last 6 or 7 years, we're just seeing all these big perch now while we're walleye fishing. And I'm hardly even keeping walleyes anymore. I just, I can go out and keep 7 or 8 perch, and that's like a good feast. They're fun to catch. They're we're getting lots of 12 inchers. You get some 13. Not getting lots of 14 inches, but if you go every 2 or 3 days, you're getting like a 14 incher mixed in there. It's sick.
That's a darn nice perch. But crappies, I see you get out for those, and we got some more photos here. And crappies are they still pretty popular in your area, or is it primarily walleye?
It's primarily walleye. The crappies are popular up here. The problem is our crappies, they go to the deep basins, and once too many people know where they're at, they're the easiest fish in the whole lake to clean out and wipe out, and that's kind of the problem now. A lot of the traditional spots and areas are and you see it. I mean, if you fish an area where they're not all beat up, I mean, you're catching giants. But it doesn't take long to weed those out. So I do have a couple little sneaky spots that I'll hit at first ice, or late in the season when your tracks aren't giving away the spots as much. But
stealthy.
Yeah, but there's lots of crappies around. I mean, you can go and work, but you got to work a little harder for them than you used to have to, for sure. Just and more people have the electronics, all the right gear, and they can go and catch them pretty easy.
And Sam, we're gonna do giveaways tonight. Could you remind people how they could win?
Yep. So make sure to like, comment your questions. We're going to be answering some questions at the end of the show, and then share the feed, and that'll get you entered to win. And like I said, we'll pick out a winner at the end of the show. So make sure to do that to get entered.
Not too far from now, but we're also going to break into some questions now that we got Gussy here with his wisdom, and Sam always has an answer different than everybody else. That's what I love about it. And so let's get some viewer questions up here, because I want them to, so here's one. How much does wind speed and direction affect fish under the ice? Thanks, Neil Olson. And Gussy, why don't you start with that? Wind speed and direction under the ice.
So again, I mean, I don't, when I go out, if you have a bit of a plan, I'm going to go set up and start fishing where I want. But I mean, I feel like if you get 4 or 5 days of a west wind, almost like you're in the boat, those points and stretches that are taking the wind, and it seems like sometimes those are better, but other times, I mean, last night we were out and we got out there and the fish were just like going off. It was really good. We were catching them, everyone was catching them. And then the wind sort of started to pick up. This was the last hour before dark, and when the fish should really like bite really good, prime time. And it actually kind of fizzled off, and it wasn't really that good. So something changed with the weather. I think we ended up getting more snow last night. And you can just kind of see the attitude of the fish based on the weather. But I'm just going, if it's a day and I'm going fishing, I'm going anyway. And you got to get out there. And if you're not, I have a 5-minute rule. If I fish a hole for 5 minutes and I don't see any life, you're on to the next hole or on to the next spot.
Even if it's 30 below?
I mean, yeah, but luckily up here, the fishing's pretty good. So
yeah.
spots.
Yeah. So Sam, what would you say about that?
I would say when it's really, really windy out, the fish get a little luckier because I'm not always out there. I don't pay too much attention to wind direction while ice fishing. Definitely I notice it open water. But for me, Gussy up where he's at, there's a lot more points and stuff. And a lot of our lakes are more round basin type scenarios where I don't necessarily notice it as much. Pay more closer attention to the weather and the pressure and all that stuff. So,
well, and I got another question that was there earlier, but someone asked me about AquaView, and I use AquaView all the time. I use it summer and winter, and there's times when I can down view and look at fish with the micro cameras or the big HDs. Gussy, when do you use AquaView the most? Would you say, do you use it in your tournaments?
I carry an AquaView with me, an HD7, all the time. It's always in my boat all season, and just you don't use it everywhere necessarily, but a lot of especially our events up north where we're smallmouth fishing, I mean, I'm dropping it down all the time just to confirm what I'm seeing on my electronics. Sometimes you catch a good one, you want it, and there's other ones with it. You can drop your camera down and you see if it's a stump or if it's a boulder, what's actually holding the fish there. I mean, And then the other thing, and I always tell people this, but if you're fishing with kids, I do quite a bit of guiding, have done a lot of guiding over the years. If you get kids in the boat and they're getting bored, you set them up with an AquaView to play around with. They're guaranteed good for a couple more hours. So anybody out there if you're taking your kids and if they get bored, if they're not catching fish, you can get them on the AquaView. And then they're also going to be like, hey, I just saw something, oh, there's fish. And you'll race back and want to see what's on there. And, oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of bass under us right now. And sometimes you find an extra spot or two that way.
Well, and then we had one more question, which kind of ties into this. What would you recommend for ice electronics for people?
I mean, if you have the means and you can afford and find one of the forward-facing units, then yeah, I mean, that's the future. That's the way to go. Obviously, the cost is going to be a lot more. If you're, I fish by snowmobile pretty much all the time, so I want to pack kind of light. I've used an Ice 55 Humminbird flasher for, since 15 years since they've been around, and I mean, bulletproof. Any of the flashers, I think, pretty much are, it's pretty simple technology. They're all pretty good, but yeah, the Humminbird units I've used them forever, and they're bulletproof.
Absolutely. Tony Baylor, thanks for that question.
I was thinking back to that, Bro and Gussy, that I got a Ice 45 that I bought in 2012, and it is still running stronger than ever, and it's been beat around the sled and bounced around, and it sometimes I have to redo the wiring to the battery, but it going and going and going.
But they're and just for you gotta have a flasher if you're ice fishing. If you want anyone to take you seriously at all, and you want to have more fun and catch fish, watch how fish react to your bait. I mean, you got to have a flasher. I've walked off a stage, doing seminars before, and have had a guy come up to me and be like, I've ice fished for 40 years, never used the flasher, and I've caught lots of fish. And that's fine. I get it. I've caught lots of fish without using a flasher, but I mean, you're going to catch so many more fish. You're going to have more fun. I think it's mandatory equipment.
Yeah. Well, and I got to say, Heather loves the old flasher technology, like the Ice 45, 55 are her favorites. But Sam, when we were on the ice, and Gussy, this, when you use a Humminbird Mega Live, you can watch everybody's lines. You could set it, and I could see Heather's line, I could see my line in down mode, and you could watch fish come in from farther away, and you could actually see if they're a walleye or a pike or perch. And I had Sam out, and we had just a wild school of perch that was coming up to the bottom of the hole, and it was a real tempest of fish. But and him and Nick Cox were fishing out of the same hole. They're just bringing up fish one after another, and you just seen them coming in. But it's nice because one hole in the middle, and then everybody could see their lines, and there's less stuff to tangle on. But it'll be interesting to see what happens when you're fishing lake trout and big walleyes up there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. That's the one thing that maybe people should understand. If you haven't used the Mega Live or the forward sonar, you just shoot. You see such a wide. It's got to be 5 or 8 times larger of an area than you do with traditional 2D sonar, and that's the biggest thing that you can just see a much larger area, and if there's fish around, and you can see where your bait's at all the time, how your bait's moving. It's so good now that, like, if your spoon even it gets tangled up at all, or your bait gets sometimes the puppet minnows get tangled up, you can actually see that on the sonar. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, and then for people who are out there that are wondering, why would I get that? I could just tell you there's other ones out there that weigh 33 pounds. And I've got a Helix 9 on the new shuttle, which is really light, lithium battery, and a stick that you could turn to point it in the directions. And this Humminbird is so light in comparison. I bet you it's half the weight. So you're going to carry it around. And I know people that left other units at home because they're heavy, and they just got tired of the big bulky pack. So I like their angle that they come in really light. super cool.
All right, Gussy, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you could take one member of the Elite Series and probably a Southern guy out for a truck ride on the ice, who would you take? Who would you be squirming the most driving out in a truck on the ice?
Well, out of the most
Or
scared,
ice fishing in general.
the funnest person to take was Matt Robertson. The on him. He, I met Matt last year. Was his first year fishing the Elite Series, and Seth knew him pretty well. So he actually stayed with us all year. We'd rent houses and stay together. And he's like a real hillbilly beauty guy, like so fun to be around. He says the funniest stuff. But Brandon McMillan, a guy that I traveled with when I used to fish the FLW tour, he's from Florida. He'd be so scared if you drove out on the ice with him in a truck. It would be kind of funny to see his reaction. I see that Adam said Gerald Swindle, and yeah, I mean he'd be hilarious to get on video. I told Tim Price that who from Hummingbird, he's the pro staff manager that we all deal with, and he's at a lot of our events and has a good relationship with a lot of the bass pros. I told him that he should make it mandatory that all the Hummingbird pros got to come up and do an ice fishing stint in Minnesota or Canada, and so they make products and toughen them up a little bit. And I mean, it would make, I mean, everyone's making YouTube videos and it wants to be entertaining. I mean, that would be, can you imagine Swindle like out on the ice? It would be hilarious.
Oh, it'd be great.
That would be a great rock and roll swindle.
Yeah, Heather says the great rock and roll swindle.
Yeah.
No, I with ice fishing, there's so many different angles. And what I see is I see trends in tactics going from ice to open water. We're focused on one hole, and that's all we got. And the fish are below you.
Mm-hmm.
And with technology, we're advancing at such a fast pace with this stuff. And the lightness, the ease of it, the cameras, light rods, warm clothes, just being able to be out there in machinery. And people love ice fishing. And ice fishing is the number one. As far as fishing hours, is 76%, maybe a little bit more, of all the fishing hours in Minnesota right now, which is crazy, but you start thinking about that. That's huge. The
best thing like that I could say about ice fishing, and I get a lot of, like, I'm around a lot of Southern people for half the year, and they'll see ice fishing photos that I have on social media and stuff, because I love ice fishing. But you try to explain to these people, like, they're like, you actually would go, like a guy from Alabama, just picture this. You would actually go drill a hole in the ice and sit there and catch a fish and look at me with a straight face. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, but people don't get that, like, when we go, I mean, it's not like the old days where you go drill, you had to hand bomb one hole, you had a bucket and you sat there and hopefully a fish came and bit. Like, that's how it used to be, but it's not like that anymore. I mean, we have all the toys and technology that we have in our boats, so we're able to be out there and mobile and cover water and find biting fish. And so, like, that's what I tell people when we go, is that, like, when we go catch a bunch of fish. I mean, it's not very often that, we don't have a good day of fishing. And then the part that I love the most is just the social aspect of it, because there's no real limit on, the group size that can go. If you're going a boat, 2 or 3 people is all that can really go. And, on the ice, we can, have 8 or 10 or 12 people, and it's fun. And that's what I love the most about it.
The camaraderie, it's really awesome. And well, I appreciate you coming out, Gussy. It was a big deal. I'm so glad you came out. We're going to pick a winner here, and good luck to you and your travels. You're going to be heading off in the beginning of February to start fishing the Bassmaster Elite already.
Yeah, I'm fired up. I'm going to ice fish a bunch here in the next few weeks. And then, I get to go get in the boat again. I'll be ready by then. And then late March, I'm getting back home. So I'll be back for like the prime time on the ice. And we've got a sweet trip planned for the last weekend in March. Sam's in, I think.
Yep.
And I know Eric's in from Northland, a few others. So I'm sure Sam can fill you in, but you're invited as well.
Wow, that'd be awesome. I'd love it. And so I appreciate it. We're going to be watching you. congratulations on the past win, and there's going to be many more in your future. And now, Sam, we have a winner for tonight's show.
Yes, so we got the winner picked out. It is Evan Mallison. So congratulations, Evan.
All right, congratulations on that. And I want
the RAZR stuff. So
and the bro mug.
And the bro mug. So
congratulations. And well, thanks for everybody for watching. And I appreciate Tim Mossberg stopping by, the owner of Fish Monkey, Nick Cox from RAZR, of course, Sam, my right-hand man, and he knows fishing, and Gussy, the legend. It's been a great show. Thanks, Kai, and we'll see you next Tuesday with a surprise guest, and we're going to get down and dirty on hardcore ice fishing.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, too.